So, we want our mouth to be a little bit open, not too much, and it is, so it's great. And as you notice probably, I'm not using too much polygons, and that's very, very important. Many people will tell you that, many experienced artists, and you will probably not believe them, but you will learn at some point. If you put a lot of polygons in the beginning, it will ruin your stuff. Even I have a very difficult time if I put a lot of polygons in the beginning. That's why I'm using so little amount of polygons. Now it's 8,000 polygons, which is kind of very low, but it's important to do it this way. Why, you will ask? Because this way you will not go into too much detail. In the beginning you cannot, because you don't have the polygons. And yeah, you will have to concentrate on the main shapes, which is the most important thing in all the sculpting, main shapes. Secondary shapes, yes, important, but main shapes, the most important. The other things are, yeah, you can without them, with them, without them. No, you cannot do it secondary shapes. I'm joking, but the main shapes are the most important, and that's why this phase of the working of the model is very important. Also, again, making the head is one of the most important things in any character. Head and hands. The other things are not as important. They are important, but not as much. The most important things, head and hands. The other things, yeah, they can work out. It's not a problem. But head and hands, hands down, are the most important things. Now I will increase the size of my neck. I like the neck to be very thick. So I usually go from the back of the ear down to the center of the clavicle, because this is the way the muscle goes, but also it goes on the side here like this. So from the front view, if we look at it, it will be, let me show you. So thin portion of the upper skull, and then we go down, but it goes wider with the neck, and like this. And then here we will have our clavicle. Of course, in our case, the clavicle is not as important because it's not visible here, but I suggest when you're doing characters to do a proper anatomy for the character. Is it skin? Is it fat? Is it muscular? Most of the time it will be muscular. And then put the clothes on. If you don't do this, your clothes will... everything will look bad at some point. Yeah. So I'll push this forward, the chin portion, and the lower lip also a little bit forward. Then this will come also forward because it is like this in the concept. And you can see how the distance between the nose and the upper lip is very, very small in the middle and a little bit on the left, on our left. So I will try to do this. And then, of course, when we disable the symmetry at some point, we will fix that. Now, always for the eyes, what I do, I just push a little bit to make sure that I have something like eyeballs there. The eyeballs usually are small, so you don't make them too much, too big, but something like eyeballs in this area, if they are inside. And then I will move them up a little bit. And then I will make sure my eyebrow here are more frowned, as I see it in the concept. Usually when you are making a concept, it's a very good idea to watch the concept. You know, many people say, but I'm watching the concept. Why are you telling that? Because I see from experience that many people are watching their own models, what they're modeling, far more than the concept. And this happens for a couple of reasons. First, they are not used to look at the concept that much, which is okay. This comes with practice. You will learn to look at the concept more because you will learn that you have to make the concept, so you have to watch and understand it more. If you just look at it twice every hour, you will not be able to understand anything. You have to watch it as much as you're watching your model, which is one thing. The other thing is inexperience with the software. If you don't have the experience with the software, if you don't have the ability to work without thinking too much about which brush to use and stuff like this, which comes with a lot of practice, yeah. But if you don't have this ability, you will concentrate your attention more on the software, more on your model, more on what brushes to use and stuff, which is normal, absolutely normal. So don't think of it as a mistake. You will get away from it at some point. In the beginning, it's okay. It just will, everything will be a little bit slower. But usually when you learn something, when you learn some craft, you need to be slower in the beginning. You cannot start ultra fast. It will be a mistake because you will not learn very much, most likely. So now we have this, which doesn't look very cool because it doesn't have a beard. He doesn't have a mustache, by the way, only beard. But now it's time. I think we have most of the things we need. Now it's time to put more polygons. So press R and just increase the polygons. So 0.02 maybe will be a good thing. And then Control R to apply it. Now, you probably can see in some areas, like here, the lower lip, it's not absolutely symmetrical. I like it in the beginning to be absolutely symmetrical always. So what I do is I go here when X for symmetry is in the top kind of rightish corner and I press symmetrize. And it's absolutely symmetrical right now. This is good to do in the beginning. Of course, as I told you, our model will not be symmetrical. I will add more meat in here. I'm saying meat. It's adding more shape. I mean, yeah, volume. Yeah, volume is the right. So, yeah, it's, I forgot my thought, but whatever. Yeah, even if your model will not be symmetrical at the end, it's good to make it symmetrical in the beginning so you can make your work easier. And usually, when you're working from sphere and starting working from sphere, even with symmetry and everything, at some point your model will not be absolutely symmetrical. It will be kind of symmetrical, but not absolutely symmetrical. So I'm doing these lines in here from the eyebrows up, like this. Hopefully, they will be okay, like that. Alright. Here I see this kind of line, which means we have something in this area, because he's frowning, and this line appears in here, which is great. I like this line. Then I will flatten this with my scrape peaks brush or scrape brush. Then I will add a little bit of a flat plane on the bottom of the nose, and then I will add nostrils, and I will push the nostrils here. So the nose, the shape of the nose is difficult to make, but don't make the nose ever soft and smooshy. Make sure you have, especially in this kind of stylized characters, make sure you have upper plane in here, then lower plane in here, then you have kind of a ball in this area, which could be a little bit more, you know, smooth. But then you have the lower plane, lower planar area of the nostrils. As you can see how I made it. And you can a little bit, you know, push this to make it not so flat, of course, the upper portion of the nostrils. But overall, the nostrils also will be asymmetrical, which is okay. But I've seen, especially from people who don't have too much practice doing noses, they don't do so well with noses. But the same applies to eyes, lips, and all the parts. You need practice. Don't think that you will start doing this and you will make it look amazing from first try. You will need a couple of tries to make it look even decent most of the time. If you are a good artist, of course, already, I know some of you are, so you will be able to do it pretty well from first try, following my lead, most likely. But if you are just a normal guy who occasionally do some sculpts and stuff and just want to do this course and, you know, just want to learn something, then you need more practice. I always say practice is the key. You cannot do without practice. Now, let's just go and make the eyes, as I said, an arch for the top and almost a planar line from for the bottom, like this. Yeah. In the beginning, everything looks kinda bad, as we can see here. It's not looking very good, which is kinda okay, because I know that I will not leave it until it looks decent. You know, this course will not sell if this doesn't look good. It should look good, you know. And of course, for your, you know, for yourself, you have to make sure it looks good. Why? But why? You are making the course, you need it to look good. Why should we make it look good? Because this will be a nice practice to make models look good. It will be a nice practice for you. And also you can put it in your portfolio. Many people are asking me, can we put the models from the courses in our portfolio? Of course you can. If you can make a model even from a course, but to look nice, you probably will be able to do something just from a concept. Maybe not so good, but you have kind of the skills already, a little bit. So put it in your portfolio. Just don't forget to mention the name of the concept artist. My name is not as important, but the concept artist name is the most important. Many people ask me whether I should ask the concept artist if I want to make his concept or her concept in 3D. No. If you are making it just for your own project, just for portfolio, you just do it, and then you just always, wherever you put it, in Instagram, in ArtStation, it doesn't matter, you always put in the description the name of the concept artist, and that's completely enough, most of the time. But I haven't had any problems with that ever. And I have friends, you know, 3D artists, they also don't have problems with this. You just have to mention the original 2D artist that has made the work. And most of the time he will be super happy. Even in the case of Lobo, let me show you Lobo. Lobo is very nice, but Dario, the guy who has made the concept for Lobo, I don't think he made the back, by the way. I think I invented the back myself, but we, as 3D artists, we are artists after all. So we can invent some of the things in our models that we do. We can have just the front, but invent the back. Sometimes we have to do this. So it's just one of my favorite things in the world, this figure particularly. It's very cool. The idea is that it's... he asked me, the guy who made the concept, he asked me to give him even the 3D file so he can print it himself. And I gave it to him. Hopefully he will print it and he will be happy because he deserves it. When I asked him, can I make the course on his... you know, on his art, he said no problem at all. So yeah, and most people are very happy just to see their works in 3D. It's very cool. So we have this. Now, I don't think the upper portion of the skull is small enough. We need to make it even smaller, so I will make it even smaller. As we can see, with the big grab brush, I'm making it smaller. And even like this, smaller. You see, now I will watch from the side view. Usually we will not have something like this, a side view or a back view or whatever. We don't have that, usually. But now we have the luxury to have it, so it's great for us. Now you see the eyes may go a little bit more forward and they could be smaller. I made them a little bit too big. And the eyes, they shouldn't be too big. One of the big mistakes is when people are making the eyes of realistic characters to the eyeballs. They are making them too big. And I have a video on my YouTube channel, which is SpeedChar, if you don't know. I have a video about eyeballs. and I'm explaining the size of the human eyeballs in there, and I visually show what the size of the human eyeball it is. It's very important video. It's like, I think 20 or 30 minutes video, and there is no video like this in the whole internet. So check it out. It's one of my most viewed videos, I think. Not the most, but one of the most. So it's useful. I'm sure it's useful for most people. Now here on the side of the lower lip, I'm making a little bit of a bumps. We'll see if that will be useful. But usually you have some muscles in here, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, for example. He's if some of you, like younger people, don't know him, Arnold Schwarzenegger is a movie star. He was a governor of California, and he was very famous bodybuilder back in the days. One of the greatest bodybuilders. Some people say that he is the greatest of all time, and maybe they are right, because he maybe was not the biggest bodybuilder ever, but he popularized bodybuilding with his movies like Conan the Barbarian and other movies, of course, where he shows his muscles. And yeah, it's amazing. Now, what I'm doing here, and I'm putting anatomy. This guy is stylized, but not super stylized, so he has some anatomy, human anatomy, and we can do it. From the side view, as we can see, we can do the nose a little bit more broken, we may say. You know, a little bit like this. And I think it will be fine. Yeah, otherwise, if we don't have this, we have to invent it ourselves. And we have to make sure it looks like the concept from the point of view of the concept, but also looking good from all sides. Because I will 3D print this one almost for sure. So I'm working for it to look good from all sides. And also, of course, if you're doing this or any concept for gaming, for game model, so for high poly, then low poly, then game, you need to make sure it looks good from all sides, because it's 3D. It's 3D, it has to look good. So from the back, I usually want this to be kind of a spheric shape. And then the muscles here and the other muscles are coming from this spheric shape. Let's see from the front. We have an Adam apple here, which is kind of a sharp area in this area. And then those muscles here will protrude a little bit more from the middle. They are protruding from the sides, and the middle is going a little bit more in, just before the clavicle. Usually, and I'm not sure that we will see that in our model, since he has a kind of a long beard, but we'll see. We'll see if we're gonna see it. Now for the beard, I'm not sure we want to make the beard yet. First we want to have the pose of the face. Now I think it's a good time to get a little bit more polygons and then to make our asymmetry a little bit. So let's just do just R and then move it 0.01, around 0.01, and then Control R. And now I smooth most of the things, but very, very lightly. In Blender, you smooth lightly. If you're doing this in ZBrush, which you can, of course, if you know ZBrush, of course, you can smooth with, you press the tablet and smooth, no problem, or the mouse. But in Blender, you have to be very, very careful. And if you're using only mouse, when you smooth, you have to go to the smooth brush and change the strength to something lower, so you can go a couple of times into one thing to smooth it, but this way you can modify your smoothing very well. Otherwise, you will smooth super hard and you will not be able to control it. Yeah, the main thing is to control. You have to have control. So are you noticing what I'm doing here? So the lower eyelid, I'm making sure I have the lower eyelid like this. I'm flattening even this area a little bit. And then I'm making this kind of a bump, which is the lower eyelid. And then we have this other bump a little bit more on the side, which is those bags below the eyes. And of course, they can be big or they can be almost invisible. It doesn't matter, but they are most of the time they are there. Just depends on the person, how old is he, how tired is he or she, for that matter. Here I will make this a little bit more pronounced because I see this lining here coming, and it looks like he has very pronounced cheekbones, which is okay. And then we are fine. I think we can start doing asymmetry. So the asymmetry mostly will be the nose and the mouth. The eyes will not be. So I will try to take off the symmetry, then work on the mouth like this, move the middle of the mouth sideways, move the nose on the other side. I don't know why, but this is like the concept. Move this part a little bit. I'm watching the concept now and I'm working. So increasing the size of this nostril a little bit like this. This one stays. This one is increased. Just pushing it upward. I don't know if it will look good, but I'm doing what I'm seeing on the concept, and then we will see what will be done. Yeah, he has a very, very peculiar pose of the mouth, and it's probably will be difficult to make, but we can try, no? It's not a big issue to try. You always can try and fail. I will move the mouth sideways with a little bit bigger brush, and I want this front part to be kind of squarish, as you can see. Let me show you. So it's like I'm seeing it like this, you know, forward, then sideways, so forward, sideways, and then back in, and then back in, like this. And this will be a little bit more awkward, but the middle portion of the mouth is here, so it's moved to his right or our left. So I will move this corner of the mouth in and move the lower lip out, and we are almost ready with the initial phase of the face. Initial phase of the face. Amazing stuff, I know. Yeah, Nico, you're very good with those words, especially in English. I know, thank you very much. It's I'm practicing, just very often I'm practicing, and that's why I'm so good, you know. And do I say often or I say often? But I think both ways are correct. It depends on which part of the English-speaking country you are. So now it will not look as good, but you know, we have to make these corners of the mouth a little bit like this. But when we put the teeth on, probably it will look better. We'll see. It should look better with the teeth on, definitely. Without the teeth, it looks like blah, not very good. But with the teeth, should be much better, and with the beard. So don't be alarmed if your model doesn't look good now. Like mine, it doesn't look very good. But next we will do maybe a little bit of a beard shape, because I kind of like the shape of the skull, the shape of the lower jaw. It's kind of okay. When we put the beard, we'll see what will happen. Just the basic of the beard. And what I like to do is very important, by the way. Listen now. Yeah, stop watching Netflix and Facebook and TikTok at the same time. Start watching here. So what I'm trying to do is make everything. I will make basic teeth. I will make basic beard. I will make basic helmet, horns, and this pointed thing on the top of the helmet, and everything, but just basic. I will just put them there to have the shape, to be able to overall see how the character will look, how the silhouette is going, how the head compared to the body is coming, how the overall curve of the body, which I will show you later how to do, all those things, how they compare. This is important because it's easier to move those things until they are low level or low amount of polygons. And then when they become more polygons, it's not that it's ultra hard to move, but then you have put a lot of detail and then you have to resize it. Why? I think you need to resize everything in the beginning and then continue from there. Not resize, but yeah, resize it the way you want it. So this is our model up to this point. I will save it and we'll continue in the next video.